Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win or you find a way to lose. Let me tell y'all something right now. Got to pay attention to what's happening with the Puerto Rican. I don't know if I want to call him a superstar yet, but the Puerto Rican fighter whose name is growing, is gaining some notoriety. Edgar, I'm going to call him Golota Berlanga. Because I hear people out here, oh, Edgar Berlanga. It reminds me of the Puerto Rican greats. Benitez, Tito Trinidad, Miguel Cotto, Calderon. Kill the noise. He don't remind me of none of those guys. Period. Okay? I'm going to tell you who he reminds me of. The late, great, could never be another Andrew, temperamental, will bite you, will knee you, will headbutt you, will punch you in the balls, will break your arm, will poke you in the eye. Golota. You see, success like Andrew Golota seems to be the downfall for the Puerto Rican on the verge of becoming a superstar. Edgar Golota Berlanga. You see, this man, the worst thing happened to him is things went, I would say, relatively easy for him in his first 16 bouts. With Andrew Golota, things were going pretty easy for him as well, knocking out everybody. Big, strong Polish fighter. But there's some similarities there, and it's not a good thing. Now, we know Golota could crack, and Golota got in the ring, and if he would have been able to keep his behavior together, his mind together, that temperament together, you know what I'm saying? He would have got wins over Riddick Bowe. I even think, he would have got wins over Riddick Bowe, right? Huge fights for him where he was winning in both and just took it to the stupid. Because things weren't really going his way. Although he was winning the fights, he didn't like getting hit. And then something was wrong with him. And I think it's something deep down that we weren't privy to, but that shit was surfaced in the ring. And when you watch Berlanga, right? When he fought Steve Rolls, right? That's when Steve Rolls took him the distance. I remember Steve Rolls was a Canadian fighter. Berlanga, he didn't know what to do because he couldn't knock him out. I guess he thought it was going to be an easy fight against Steve Rolls because Steve Rolls had got demolished by Triple G. Now, one thing I will say is if Triple G was still fighting, Berlanga wouldn't want no parts of a prime Triple G, period. But after that, he goes on, ends up getting in there with this guy, Angulo. I don't know, he was Venezuelan or what. But bottom line, Edgar Berlanga bit him and ended up being suspended 6 months by the New York State Athletic Commission and being fined $10,000. Because according to Berlanga, he was being elbowed, he was being headbutted, the guy was trying to break his arm, all kind of crap. But the bottom line is this. He wanted to apologize for his actions, right? But there's something that surfaced in that ring. Now, I've always said, in boxing, you got to make the referee do his job. And I used to say, if you could, they'll let you poke somebody in the eye, bite them, break their arm, do it, get away with it. It's a fight. But I don't quite agree with that shit anymore. You know what I'm saying? And when I watched Berlanga last night, getting there against the Irish fighter, and Berlanga threw the elbow, I said, this guy here, he's going to make a mistake. He's going to end up getting disqualified when he gets himself into a fight where things aren't going his way and he's getting beamed. He's going to do something crazy that's going to cause a Floyd Mayweather, Zab Judah type melee in the ring. Now, Am I rooting for Edgar Berlanga? Yeah, I am. But that success messed him up. Getting all those knockouts, being hyped up as the next coming of, matter of fact, it wasn't the next coming. Something they haven't seen before. Never seen a Puerto Rican like this. Blah, 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 right? Bob Arum's mouthpiece is better than Eddie Hearn's when Bob Arum get going. But since then, since Edgar Berlanga wasn't getting the knockouts, Bob Arum's 90-something-year-old ass started chewing on his tongue, didn't he? Asked Bob Arum a question about Berlanga. Hey, Bob, what do you think about Edgar Berlanga? Bob started chewing on his tongue. But nonetheless, Berlanga made a move. He's over there with Eddie Hearn now. And let me tell you something. Eddie Hearn out here talking about Puerto Rico, Mexico. That's a great fight. We know Puerto Rico, Mexico. Yo, not even Eddie Hearn believes that Berlanga needs to be in the ring with no goddamn Canelo, Munguia, and even the Mexican, American, Ecuadorian David Benavidez. He don't even need to be in the ring with Pacheco. Now, something I'm going to point out. Berlanga, you can see, like, he puts a lot of pressure on himself. Berlanga said something. He's like, I'm him. I'm that guy. I'm a superstar. Puerto Rico. Like, he's got this shit in his head that he's got a whole island behind him. That he is the Puerto Rican version of fucking Canelo. Eddie Hearn need to get a hold of that dude real quick. Because it's not the same situation. He ain't nowhere near no goddamn Tito Trinidad. He ain't nowhere near no Miguel Cotto. That's just being real, man. Can he get there? He can. But he got to clean some shit up. And first and foremost, this shit about just trying to come in the ring, look for one big shot, that's not going to work. Going up against guys who are ranked in the top 10. It's not going to work. Edgar Berlanga comes straight forward and he gets beamed. Put it to you this way, right? They want to do Puerto Rico versus Mexico, right? Right? Puerto Rico, Mexico, right? That's the shit that they're trying to sell to us, right? Cool, we willing to buy it, okay? How about this? Let's say Canelo is top of the echelon. Then let's say David Benavidez. Oh, I keep forgetting the Cuban. Morel, right? Let's say Canelo, Benavidez, Morel, and Munguia. Let's say Munguia's, and Pacheco. Pacheco and Munguia, right? Let's say those two are the weakest of the Mexican fighters, right? And you got the Cuban, right? But let's just say those two are the weakest, Munguia and Pacheco. Now, I'm not saying they're weak fighters at all, but I'm just out of the names. Canelo, Benavidez, Morel, Munguia, Pacheco, right? You telling me a guy like Edgar Berlanga, when he gets hit, he wants to turn into a street fight like Zab Judah. You telling me a guy with that mentality against Munguia will survive more than 3 rounds? Munguia, you hit Munguia, he don't try to turn to a street fight. You know what Munguia does? He throws an 8-punch combination at your ass. That's what he does. He may throw 10, 12 punches. You hit Munguia, he fires back in combination. He don't lose his cool and look to bite you. He don't take it to the stupid in the ring. Now Pacheco, you hit Pacheco, Pacheco gonna hit you back with a 4 to 6 piece combination. And he gonna keep coming and coming strong. Pacheco, was he like 6'2", something like that? Reached like 90-something inches. Pacheco ain't played around in that goddamn ring. And for Berlanga to think that he can just go up there and mess with Canelo with his, come forward style, not really throwing many punches, very selective on his punch output. You can't come in there with those guys and not let your hands go. Because as soon as they recognize that shit, they're taking advantage. They're going to bing you. And Berlanga, Edgar Golota Berlanga is going to get binged. And I'm telling you, because let me tell you something else, right? Fans can be cruel. But when you're a guy who represent. I'm just gonna say this, right? You're representing for the people of the Caribbean, right? Him in particular, Puerto Rico, right? Caribbean people can be cruel, man. If Edgar Berlanga were to lose, they would sit there and rip him apart. Same way they love him up and shit. And Puerto Rico, Boricua, all that shit. Let him lose a fight, they'll rip his ass apart. And I'm telling you what I know because I come from a Caribbean background, man. Yo, you're doing great, they love you, don't lose. Especially like family from Trinidad and Tobago, right? Oh Lord, have mercy, man. You want to hide, you know what I'm saying? So for Edgar Berlanga, man, he has a lot of pressure on him because he wants to keep winning and doing well, and he just doesn't want to lose. But I could see him getting himself in a situation like Berlanga. He's already showed it in the ring. Get him in a situation like Golota, and do something stupid in the biggest fight of his career, and do something stupid and throw it away. And I'm just being honest with you. Last night I was like, damn, I thought the refs were gonna take a point from him. You know what I'm saying? But we know he's connected to Eddie Hearn, so Eddie Hearn may be able to protect him a little bit. But Eddie Hearn sees that Berlanga is not ready. He knows. I don't know what Eddie Hearn was talking about. And Canelo will fight anyone, and Canelo. I'm like, God damn, my man, who you here promoting, Berlanga or Canelo? Like, that shit struck me as odd as hell. But anyway, if they end up making the fight, I mean, hey, I guess congrats to Berlanga. He gets an early retirement check. Because if he goes in and messes with Canelo, I think Canelo will put the Mexican beans on him. Now, one thing I will say that makes a fight between Berlanga and Canelo very interesting is Berlanga. People were shocked at that one-punch KO he did last night. Yo, he hit him with one punch to right hand and just, short circuit. He tranquilized him. He had him dancing salsa in the ring. Okay, Berlanga has power. But you know what else he had in that ring last night? He had Angel Herreria's training and conditioning and supplementation strategy. He had all that shit going for him. So when you start seeing guys getting in and dropping the one hammer slammer, the beam, not even the bing, when they drop the beam on the opponent and get him out of there, and you got Angel Herreria in your corner, that means they can do it again. And that's what would make it very interesting to see Berlanga in there with any of these guys, even Canelo. Is if Herreria continues to work with them, you better believe there may be some shit that Berlanga is going to show that's going to blow everybody away. Now, I'm not saying he's doing nothing foul. What I'm telling you is when you got a pharmaceutical genius on your team, pay attention, people. It makes a difference. And I'm sitting here kicking knowledge right now. I'm not suggesting no foul play because ain't no proof of that shit. But there's proof that if Angel Herreria gets involved with you, your performance will multiply times 100. But remember, he's a goddamn scientist. People keep forgetting. They just think that Angel Herreria, he got in trouble. Him and Victor Conti, two guys, trafficking peds and illegal substances. No, the MF is a scientist. Get educated on this dude. He knows what he's doing when it comes to supplements and drugs and shit like that. He knows what to do. So he can put together something which I call a cocktail that's perfectly legal, but can give a fighter, help a fighter perform a kind of way that the fighter would never perform had he not used Angel Herreria. Now that being said, what's next for Edgar, Golota, Berlanga? I don't know. But even if he's working with Angel Herreria, and Angel Herreria has him in peak condition to go 25 hard 3-minute rounds from the first second of the first round to the last second of the 25th round, it's not going to matter if he gets in there and he's getting bing-binged by Munguia or Pacheco, or getting bing-binged by Morel, or bing-binged by Benavidez, or bing-binged by Canelo. Edgar Berlanga, I truly believe, is going to go Andrew Golota, is going to punch in the balls, is going to bite, is going to try to break an arm, is going to throw an elbow, and he's going to do some wild shit in the ring. I just perfectly think that. I'm telling you, I think that nobody can make me see it otherwise, because he's showing in the ring that there's a screw loose in his head. And people talking about, oh, he's from the inner city, hood, that's that Brooklyn. Yeah, I'm 48 years old, man. You gotta be a professional. I don't want to hear that shit. You out here making millions of dollars. Don't tell me nothing about no streets. Oh, if you're from the streets, you a street. You're gonna, that's what's in you. You listen, rocket scientists. The millions of dollars, right? That shit can help fast track your recovery, right? That can help to fast track you going through rehabilitation, to stop being a street guy, to think stupid, to throw your life away and your career away, and be a guy who takes a deep breath and makes responsible decisions in and out the ring. Don't get me wrong now, because even me at 48, I got certain things in me that remain dormant, but it takes a whole lot to get me going, opposed to when I was young and stupid. I'm talking about, probably like 10 to probably more like 8 to maybe my 20s. But consequences will make you start doing shit a little different. And hopefully Berlanga learned from his consequence of getting suspended 6 months and being fined $10,000. Look, consequences there's a lot more at stake now. A lot more at stake. He can't afford to misstep and definitely get in the ring and go Andrew Golota and do something foolish. But I feel there's a screw loose up there, and I feel he doesn't want to get embarrassed. He doesn't want to lose. I feel he has a hard time looking at himself in the mirror. And he may need, and Eddie Hearn, I think, recognizes that too. He needs to get that squared away before they think about putting him in the ring with any of those 5 names: Canelo, Benavidez, Morrell, Munguia, and Pacheco. Simple. But I'm still rooting for my boy, man. You know what I mean? I'm rooting for him. I want the Puerto Rican to go all the way. I just like the dude, you know what I'm saying? But shit I'm watching and seeing, I don't like what I'm hearing. There's nothing wrong to think highly of yourself and all that, but I'm him and I'm this and the Puerto Rico and the island and the this and the island, and you ain't fucking Canelo, man. And they need to get a hold of his ass with the quickness. You know who look like they got the most promise coming out of Puerto Rico? It's not what's that dude's name? He fights for Top Rank, man. Xander, whatever the hell his name is. Not him. Subriel Matias. That guy looked like he's gonna be the one. You know what I'm saying? But the rest of them, they're good. But I don't want to hear no shit about Puerto Rico behind them. Puerto Rico is behind all their fighters. Don't get me wrong, but they ain't nobody behind them like they behind Subriel right now. And just like the other guy who I think is really on his way, he ain't Puerto Rican, he's Cuban. It's that guy Andy Cruz. Them two right there, they passed the eye test for sure. One's a champion already anyway, so. But that being said, Edgar Berlanga, he got to tighten up that little screw before he throws his whole career away over some stupid shit and going all out and acting like Andrew Golota against Riddick Bowe. You can't do that. You know what I'm saying? You just can't. Somebody get the best of you or do a little something to you and you want to give it back to them, but or if you're losing your fight and you go and get flagrant and get reckless. Yo, my man, you can't have a temper tantrum in the ring. That's when you really mess up. And if he does that shit against one of them elite fighters, those 5 names I mentioned, Canelo, Benavidez, Munguia, Pacheco, and Morrell, he gonna get beaten, man. He gonna get hurt badly. That being said, y'all keep cool in the breeze.